Hey everybody, Matt Johnston, Matt the Lawyer back, and we are going to be talking about some new legislation in the state of Maryland. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I'm not an employer in the state of Maryland. Well, if you have one employee in the state of Maryland, what I'm about to talk to you about is relevant and it is important for you. And I am talking about the Family Medical Leave Insurance Program that was recently passed by the Maryland General Assembly. It was vetoed by Governor Hogan, but the General Assembly overrode Governor Hogan's veto. So before I continue with all of this legal gobbledygook that you're going to hate, please be sure to click the subscribe button down below so you can get notice of other content that we're putting out there as we put it out there. So the Family Medical Leave Insurance Program is actually an insurance program and not something like FMLA, which is entirely employer provided. So let's start with what the Family Medical Leave Insurance Program is, who it's going to cover. And family members are covered, and this is an incredibly broad definition. And it includes biological, adopted, foster, and step relations of the following people: siblings, grandchildren, grandparents, spouse, children, obviously. That includes children who are wards of a particular person, or somebody who has legal or physical custody, guardianship, or stands in loco parentis for a child, regardless of age. Okay? Or the parent or legal guardian, including a person who has, for an individual who has acted as a parent or stood in loco parentis to the covered individual when the covered individual was a minor. So it is a very, very, very broad definition. And these definitions will matter, because I'll talk about that maybe in this video, maybe in a second video. We'll see how we're going with this sort of stuff. So what's going to happen is, beginning on October 1st, 2023, every employee in the state, every employee in the state, and every employer with 15 or more employees will have to begin making a contribution, and it will be a mandatory deduction from people's paychecks. So it's mandatory, and that money then goes into a fund that will then be used to pay out the benefits. And the employees will begin being able to take in this paid leave at or on starting January 1, 2025. So it's going to be a combination of employer and employee contributions. So how much is the contribution? Well, that's going to be set by the Maryland Secretary of Labor. And the first set will probably come out, it has to be established by June of 2023 what the contribution is going to be. So that's part one. Part two is, what is the employer versus employee split? And there are only a few options. It can either be a 50-50 split, meaning the employee contributes half of the contribution requirement and the employer contributes the other half. Or it can be a 75-25 or a 25-75 employee to employer contribution. Where that's going to come out is largely going to be an economic question, but also a political question, depending upon who is in the next administration for the Maryland governorship, because Governor Hogan is term limited out. So there's going to, every 2 years, the Secretary of Labor, based upon the amount of money in the fund, usage, things like that, the Secretary of Labor will establish what the contribution cap is, so how much can be or is required to be given, as well as the split. So that can change every 2 years. Okay. So what is the leave? The leave is up to 12 weeks. And so it's 12 weeks in a particular application year. Except there's a little tweak. So part of the leave can be taken for a medical reason, but part of it is also for the birth or adoption of a new child. So let's say, for example, somebody has a very serious medical condition at the beginning of the year, and they take 12 weeks of leave as a result of that. And then at the end of the year, they have a child, and they can take another 12 weeks after that. During one of the legislative briefings that I've seen, it would be, in theory, be allowable for an expectant mom, a woman who's pregnant, who needs to be on bed rest for some period of time because of medical conditions. She gets 12 weeks for that, and then another 12 weeks for the birth of the child. So it is possible to get up to 24 weeks in certain circumstances, but by and large, it's going to be capped at 12 weeks in a given year for an individual. So what can the leave be taken for? Okay, so the leave can be taken for caring for a child in the first year after the child's birth, or placement through adoption, foster care, something like that. Caring for a family member with a serious health condition. Caring for yourself for a serious health condition. So, family member gets sick, you get sick, what have you. Caring for a service member, military service member, with a serious health condition resulting from military service. So your spouse gets deployed to, someplace where there's shooting going on, and they are injured. Then when that spouse returns back to the States, you would then be able to take 12 weeks off to help care for that particular service member. And then attending to a covered individual's qualifying, quote unquote, qualifying exigency. Okay, well, I probably butchered that word. So there's all kinds of things that can happen there. It's a catch-all. It'll be interesting to see how that is worded. So the main parts of this is that there will be an insurance fund that's created by contributions from employees, so a direct payroll deduction, and by employers with 15 or more employees. And I forgot to mention, self-employed individuals can also take a deduction or make a contribution into the pot in order to be covered. So that's how it's going to be funded, and it is for a series of either the first year after a child is born or adopted, family members' serious medical condition, the covered individual serious medical condition, caring for military members who have been injured in the line of duty, and things like that. So that's sort of the broad scope. In my next video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the other sort of things that need to be understood and its impact on small employers. In the meantime, stay tuned for the next video and go out and watch some live soccer. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.